So we're back here. We have calculated the linear model as a reference. And so we have to define our folds. We have to put our data into the folds. Remember, we had 5 folds before. So that's very easy. There's a command vfold. And of course, you would forget the command. You just know there exists one. You find it on the internet or in old code. Vfold underline CV. And you have to tell it how many folds do we want. We had 5. Here we want a little more, 10. Okay. You tell the training data where it's coming from. And that's enough. This would be already enough. I want to make it a little bit better here. And I say, you can actually repeat that process. If you repeat it, you don't have 10, you have actually 20 folds. So you can repeat it. We don't want that, so I say repeat 1. I want to stratify the choosing where every record goes. So to make sure that not one fold has all the high prices and another one has all the low prices. That's why I use this one. So I do that. And the folds are already, these commands you will never use here. I just use them for you to show you the folds are already created. I can take the first split, that would be the first line in my diagram, and look at them. And I want to see the assessment one. That's the one that I use for assessment. That is fold 1, assessment, and you can see it. These are the records which are in there. They are the ones that are used for assessment in the first line, 1,800 records. And the rest are used for the analysis. 16,000 records. Of course, we said we had about, we had training data were 18,000. You can see it here. 10% is what ended up in the first fold. The rest ended up, the other 16,000 in the training fold. But again, you will never look at them. So I did that only to show it to you. We have the folds. We know everything is in there. That's good enough for us. Now we create the model like we did before. Linear regression, mode is regression, nothing new. The penalty is our lambda, and we express it in 10 to the power of, but we don't know it. We tell the program, hey, stand by. We will tune that later. That's why you have the command tune here, and it's always empty. It's a placeholder. It says, sorry, I don't tell you what the penalty is. I want you to try an error with brute force later. And the mixture, I don't tell you either. And then I said set engine. And what you might miss here is the fit command. I can't use the fit command here because how can I fit a model, how I can optimize a model with the optimizer if I do not tell it what the penalty and what the mixture is. So that's why there is no fit command here. Okay, now we have to produce our grid. And the screenshot you saw was actually our grid, and I execute these 2 ones. I comment on it later. And our grid is, see, that looks very much like what we had before. Here are our scenarios, except I have more now. Here is the mixture. I start with rich. The mixture variable is 0. It gets bigger and bigger, the mixture variable. And finally, it is 1 for regression. How did I calculate the grid? Here's the command. Grid, regular grid is the command. I first provide the parameters that I want to tune, and it's penalty. And the penalty should be a range from -8, 0.00001, to 8, which is 1000, like 10 million, I think it is. Mixture should run from 0 to 1. How many do I want to consider? I want to consider 68 different values for penalty. Why 68 and not 10 or 5? I experimented around. 68 gives us pretty good results. And 10. Consider we have a total here of 680 scenarios. We have 10 folds. So our diagram has 10 lines. That means our model has to be run 6,800 times. And I do that here first, let it run. You see it's running. It might even get an error message because parameters create an error message. That's no big deal then. This fold is just not considered. See, there was an error. How did I do this? I use the new command tune grid. And that looks pretty easy. There's a formula here. Price tilde, use all the variables. Like before our fit command. It's kind of a fit. Then I have to say, where's the model defined? That was the model I defined here, where I left it open, which is the tune variable here. And where are my folds? They are saved here, CV folds. Where are the scenarios that I want to use? Tune grid. This is optional. I can define which metrics I want to be calculated. Does it all for us in one step? How nice. If I leave it out, I think it takes a general one. And this one I added it just to add a little bit of show here. Verbose means it talks a lot to the console, so you can see what is going on. I like that. It slows the model down a tiny little bit, but not too much. But at least you see that your program has not been crashed. So we wait. It's processing fold number 10 now. And it's done. One of the scenarios created an error here. No big deal. We have enough scenarios to compare. So now, for all these metrics I have collected, 680 different scenarios. And I have more than 680 lines here because for each of the scenario, for the first one, I have the MAE, the MAPI, and so on and so on. So now what you would do manually, pick out an error you want to use, find the smallest one, and that's your best model. That would be a pain. There is a command where I can just say select the best. I select the best thing here from the grid. And these are my best model. These are my best hyperparameters. You can look at it and it will be surprise you. So the penalty should be 45,364. That's my lambda. And the mixture is 0. So our best model is actually a rich model. Well, you could say, well, all the effort for nothing. No, not really. Because before we didn't know that the rich model was better than the lasso and it was better than every mix, but now we do know. This is the best model. The answer is, for our housing price estimate, take a rich model and use a penalty of 45,000. How good is our model? I can run the model now and I've used it instead of having a lot of work to do. I just say finalize model. I say which model I'm using, the one that I defined before. Where do you find the best parameters? What is the fit formula? Because remember that fit formula was missing here. Padam. And here are the results.